Hello, and welcome to B2B Topics and Tips, bringing you the latest buzz about small business topics, tips, and expert interviews. Watch live or watch later. Drop any questions or thoughts in the comments. And if you're watching later, feel free to use hashtag replay. Hi, I'm Melissa St. Clair, Communications and Standard Operating Procedures Specialist at Paper Chaser Biz LLC, a certified military spouse-owned enterprise. And today I am thrilled to welcome as the guest expert, Scott Perry. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Melissa. It feels like we've known each other for a long time, but this is the first time we're actually connecting person to person. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yes, thank you for joining me. So, Scott is an Encore life coach with Creative on Purpose. And I met Scott, like he said, a while back, a few years back, through a mutual acquaintance. So it is really great to be connected and to be having a conversation today. So I would like to formally introduce Scott. He is an Encore life coach, helping people in midlife reconnect with their soul's true calling and turning that into a fulfilling part-time online lifestyle business. Scott has done this several times as he navigated from a successful career as a professional musician to a 4-year contract as a head coach at Seth Godin's Akimbo workshops, and now as the leader of a movement to help others turn their midlife into their best life. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so good. So today we are talking about stepping into possibility, how to navigate uncertainty and adversity with equanimity and joy. Scott, let's get started. That title is a mouthful. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, it's something that I covered in my latest book, Onward, which I started writing right before the pandemic. And then when the pandemic came, I realized I had to write a book to help people navigate their way through this incredibly challenging time that we were finding ourselves in. I'm sure you hear with the people that you work with, words like burnout, overwhelm, confusion, all these type of things that are really amplified, when we have to go into isolation and do things in completely different ways. So stepping into possibility is actually a program that I developed for military spouses. I presented it with our mutual friend Kelly Artis at an event for members of military senior leadership in outside of DC. I guess it was just last May. So I'm really excited about presenting this because what we're going to do is talk about a 3-step process for making better decisions and making those decisions more quickly and setting yourself up for even more possibility and stepping into your potential in any circumstance that you find yourself in.
Awesome, awesome. So I am going to throw out the first question. What can a business owner do when they notice that things are going a bit sideways?
Yeah, so I think noticing is actually the key word there because we live 80% of our lives, subconsciously or unconsciously. We're just doing again today what we did yesterday. And, sometimes we have to hit that pause button and zoom out and notice, bring our consciousness into the, conscious awareness to what's going on, to be able to see that, things are going in a direction that's not fueling our health or happiness. And so that in that noticing is our opportunity to name and navigate that, which I know are the steps that's coming up. But I think, if you can figure out a way to insert a pause, that's the famous quote by Viktor Frankl that he never actually said, between stimulus and response, there is a space, and in that space lies your ability to choose, and in that choice lies your freedom and peace. So what can you do to insert that pause? At Creative on Purpose, we have this thing that we do where we say, isn't that interesting? So whenever things are going a little south, a little sideways, instead of just reacting the way that our amygdala wants us to, we say, isn't that interesting? And just that 3-second pause allows us to not just notice, but to also reframe a problem, a dire circumstance, even as an opportunity for us, if nothing else, to practice approaching our lives in a way that promotes our happiness and well-being.
Yes, and we can all use, you said about first is awareness and then kind of being mindful. Oh my goodness, so super important. So how should folks then frame themselves and their situation during difficulties?
Yeah, so the second step is naming the thing that's happening. And, if we don't name it out loud or write it down or share it with a friend, what happens is the narrative in our head starts spinning. And, we are creatures that make sense of ourselves, each other, and the world through narrative. Those narratives are not always promoting our best features, our best characteristics, and not framing things in a way that's actually true. So, just by way of example, I've been a freelancer more in one shape or form all my adult life. And if you're a freelancer, as you know, you're only making a living when you have contracts, when you have gigs to play.
Yes.
And most freelancers, from time to time, maybe every day, will wake up and see that there's not enough gigs on the calendar to cover all their expenses and have enough left over to pay the bills. The narrative that I will catch myself in is, holy cow, I don't have enough gigs to make my monthly obligations. My wife's going to hate me. My kids are going to hate me. My pets are going to leave. I'm going to end up homeless and single and living under an overpass in a cardboard box. I'll become an alcoholic and I'll die. And I had that conversation with myself in seconds. So the thing to do, obviously, is to first insert that pause to notice that I'm spinning out of control, and then to name what's actually happening in as few words as possible, and take out all the value judgments, the strong emotional attachments, the adjectives and the adverbs. So instead of that long narrative that I just shared, I could then say, I'd notice that I don't have enough gigs on the calendar to cover my responsibilities. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Very direct. And then you're not going into that fight or flight or freeze, all those modes and those spirals and sideways. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. You're framing it as a solvable problem instead of as something that's happening to you that you have no control over.
So smart, so smart. So, how can business owners thrive as they strive through crises?
Yeah, so the navigate part is, just simply, all these things are great to do with someone else, especially someone that loves you enough to give you the real love that you need when, that they'll catch you on your BS and catch you retelling a story that they know is not really serving you. And so for me, it's just, what are all the options? And I list all the options. And then I go through and I, ask myself, is this going to solve my problem in a way that's, only doing the essential things and I can be done more effortlessly? And so, I might decide if I don't have enough gigs on the calendar, I could decide to get in touch with past clients that I know are thrilled with me and ask them if they have anything that they need help with, or if they know anybody that has something that they need help with. I could take my, guitar collection of 20 guitars and decide to sell some of those off to get some quick cash. I could get myself a part-time job somewhere else so I can, again, make some cash. I mean, there's all these things I could do. And if I write them down and then start to go through, well, here's some that I'm just not going to do because they're not made. They don't lie with who I am.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's others, that maybe are possibilities. And there's usually one or two that, I could get that done in a very short period of time. And it would actually propel me further and faster forward through this situation that I find myself in. So, if I listed all the options, I would probably start with that. Hey, I should just get in touch with past clients because I've shortened the curve, right? I don't have to earn their permission and their trust and their enrollment investment. They've already worked with me. They already have told me they like me, trust me, and may be willing to reinvest, may be willing to share my name and contact information with some friends. And again, now the other thing is it's about action. You have to start doing something because action begets action, and inaction begets inaction. I think that's a rule of physics, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, it's a way of encouraging not just any old action, but doing the right thing in the right way so that you can get the result that you really need to promote your thriving through a situation.
And I love that you circled back to that outreach of your established network, because someone could be waiting for your call. They are so bogged down in the day to day, and they don't have time to raise that, white flag that they need to surrender something over. And your call may be perfect timing. You just don't know. So
Exactly.
I love that. Oh my goodness, this has been so awesome. And this is just touching the surface of the goodness that Scott shares in his programs, in his books. Um, Before we close, Scott, please share your best business tip or tips.
Oh, so many tips. One thing that I am really, I'll share some things that just leap to mind that I do with almost every client I work with. As you articulated, I'm mostly working with people that are in midlife and are in a place where they can actually, they fulfilled their obligations, making a living and raising a family, and they would like to build something now that's going to help them live their legacy, build identity and forge meaning in the second half of their lives. And that idea of reconnecting with your soul's true calling is a matter of reconnecting with who you really are, what you're really good at, and where you really belong. And for people like you and others that are freelancers, I think that can happen whether it's in your first half of life endeavor or your second half of life endeavor. Is, what are the values that really are the most meaningful to you, that are the deal breakers, that are, upon which you will not equivocate? What are the guiding principles by which you live your life and must live your life by? What's the vision of a world that you're working toward? And then what are you really good at? Which is, of course, the hard skills that you learned in school and on the job, and the soft skills that we all love to talk about now. But every single person on the planet is born with a unique gift. We have something in us that has been wanting to live through us all of our lives, and midlife can be a great time to reconnect with those things. I always encourage people, we have all sorts of surveys and things to do, but one exercise is, what did you love doing as a kid? What were those moments as a kid where you were completely immersed, were just awestruck, filled with wonder, lost track of time? Those things speak to your hidden talents that you've not been paying attention to. And then all you need to do is find out where you belong. You belong with people who share your values and need your talents to enhance their lives. So that's just you could work on that over a weekend, and it might help you really clarify your offer, your audience, and where you should be putting yourself, and who you should be putting yourself and your offer in front of. The other is, I ask people to check in with what I call a zest barometer.
Oh,
If you are, we all go through periods, even if we're really heeding our life's true calling, where we will feel a little depleted. Of course, that's part of the gig. But if you are consistently finding yourself exhausted, then it's an indication, a signal that you're either doing the wrong thing or you're doing the thing wrong. And it's, again, an opportunity for you to hit the pause button and zoom out and kind of assess, is there, is this still the thing that is fueling me and that I have a real passion for? Is it enhancing my life while I'm enhancing the lives of others? And maybe it is still the thing, and you just have to figure out, but you can't do it the way you've always done it. There's a way for you to, again, shorten that distance between where you are and the results you want to get. It doesn't have to be, a 27-step process. It probably needs to be a 2 or 3 step process. So Zest Barometer is another. And then finally, I'll just share, one of the things that we say most frequently at Creative on Purpose regarding that narrative inside our head that I talked about is choose your story, choose your future. Because everything is made up. We make it all up. The money that you're chasing, it's a construct. It only has value because we have a story that it has value. Status, all the stuff that you're chasing, this is all related to stories. If you are not living a story that's filling you with joy, equanimity, a sense of purpose and passion every day, it's as simple as changing your story. And simple is never easy.
Right.
And so you have to embrace this idea of formulating a narrative of about your becoming that is actually worth investing in, and investing yourself, your time, attention, and energy. And what we find at Creative on Purpose is most people find that their happiness is tied to doing work that enhances the lives of others, that informs and inspires happiness in others. So those would be 3 things that I think anybody could apply in just a few hours in their day, and probably come up with some really great ideas and feel a little bit more inspired in doing what they do for a living.
I love that. And it all starts with that word pause. That was my word of the year a couple of years back, and so important. So,
Absolutely.
how can viewers connect with you?
It used to be that Scott Perry was me on Google. There is now a member of the House of Representatives from Pennsylvania named Scott Perry, and there's a basketball coach in the NBA named Scott Perry. Evidently, politicians and pro athletes get more love on Google than retired musicians. So you can instead put Creative on Purpose in a search, and it will be the number 1 thing that happens. Everything I do happens under the Creative on Purpose banner. The Art of Encore Living, which is the primary thing that we're doing right now, is all right there when you go to creativeonpurpose.com.
Perfect, perfect. And do you have an offer or a freebie to share with viewers?
Absolutely. If you are, if this idea of encore living is interesting to you, if you're at that period of midlife where you're considering what you might want to do with the rest of your life, there is a free, if you go to creativeonpurpose.com, there is at the very top of the page an invitation to grab the Art of Encore Living Quick Start Guide. It actually gives you the 3-step process that I just shared about who you are, what you're good at, and where you belong. And it gives you at least 12 ideas for ways that you could start to build out an encorepreneur business, lifestyle business that's part-time and will actually help you fund your retirement while you have some fun doing it.
That sounds awesome. Thank you for that fantastic freebie. And Scott, I am just so, so grateful for you joining me today. And out there, if you're watching live or watching later, thank you so much and take care.